No, but even say when, like Hogan, for instance, even though WCW went out, WWE honored a majority of the WCW contracts. So basically, even though if they didn't come in and physically work, WWE still paid that talent. Like, even though they use very few people like Chronic and DDP for a while, and I mean, Canyon, he came over. They used him for a little while, Mike Awesome, but I mean, it's like they used so few, but yet later on, so many more came over, like Goldberg, Steiner, and people like that. But I was just like, what would the world be like now if, say, WWE folded? Because even Mick Foley says during the Monday Night War DVD that WWE was close to going under.
Mm-hmm.
So what would happen if, say, WWE closed and WCW was still around, but just say the Time Warner purchase was just delayed a while, and WCW was still around? What would happen? What would the world be like now? You know, I mean, I know we'd probably have TNA and Ring of Honor, but yet, how many people from WWE or WCW would go to Ring of Honor or TNA since WCW and WWE closed?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, TNA's kind of in that same boat right now where trying to figure out what they're going to do with Impact, because people are, well, I shouldn't say people, but there's like 4, 5 if you still consider Spike TV a candidate, but like WGN, and I think there's like a Discovery Channel affiliate that wanted Impact, and they're like basically saying, well, we want your show. And as of now, I haven't heard, I don't think they've signed anywhere, but last I heard was that TNA was still, at their last tapings that they had in September, that they had enough footage to go until like mid-November. But, which that kind of raises another question with TNA, is that the night before Thanksgiving, there's a movie that's on in their time slot, 9 to 11. And I had read online, which I don't know if there's any truth to this or not, is that the reason why they're not airing Impact then is because of it being Thanksgiving. So, I mean, it makes sense, but, I mean, you know, I just hope TNA finds a home. And it's like it really wasn't an argument, as more along the lines of, like, proving facts and stuff like that. Like on Facebook a couple nights ago, this guy, or someone I should say, on Facebook said, well, basically, if TNA Lee stays with Spike TV, I want him to die. They don't deserve to be on TV if they re-sign with Spike. And, you know, me and this other person basically told him, well, okay, how can you sit there and say that when Spike TV has given, or TNA's given Spike TV, like, ratings? Like, even though Viacom owns Spike, you have TNA averaging anywhere between 800,000 and, like, 1.2 million people, or viewers, you know, somewhere in that range weekly.
Yeah.
And then I said that because, and, you know, how can you say, I mean, even though it's on a Viacom station, that's still a decent draw, even though it's that low of a rating. And the guy's like, well, the only reason they're drawing that high is because of the tag team series and the Full Metal Mayhem match. I go, on 99% of the shows that didn't have a Full Metal Mayhem or a tag team series still drew average anywhere between 800 and 1.2 million. And he's like, okay. I go, and there was in like January of 2013, I think it was, there Impact drew like a 1.17 cable rating. And I said, all right, well, explain this to me then. How, this, on this episode of Impact, there was no Full Metal Mayhem match, and there was no tag team tournament, but yet it drew a 1.17 rating. How's that possible? The guy goes, well, what was the main event? I go, Daniels versus Hardy for the TNA title, or Hardy versus Daniels. He's like, what type of match? I go, normal TNA title match. Then this other person was backing me, pretty much saying the same things I was. Is like, everything he says right. It's a constant. It's been level. I mean, yeah, there's shows where it's like some show will draw 900, next week's show draws 1.1 million, 200,000 more views, but it's like he's like, all right, explain why they fluctuate so much. It's like it's simple. I go, all right, why does the first hour of Raw draw like a 3, but the second hour draws like a 2.2, and the third hour would draw like a 2.5? It's simple why it would fluctuate. It would be, Raw goes up on, I'd say August from December, 4 months out of the year against Monday Night Football. How many people don't watch Raw on a football night or when their team plays, but yet will watch it any other week outside of Monday Night Football? And I go, that's the same with TNA. I go, when they were on Thursday, they went head to head with Thursday Night Football. And how many people do the same thing? Thursday Night Football, not watching Impact. So how many times does that happen throughout the year? I mean, how many people will flip-flop back and forth between wrestling and football, but yet how many people won't watch wrestling at all during football, or if whatever football game they're watching, it's a blowout, all right, this team has 45 points, this team has nothing, and it's halftime. Then how many people flip back to wrestling, just because, well, we're bored with football in case something big happens, I'm not watching it.
Yeah, and vice versa, like, there'll be people where, like, they'll be watching wrestling, and, it's interesting, and then there's, like, one match or two matches that kind of bores them, so they switch it to a different channel to, entertain themselves a bit, and then switch back to see if anything interesting happened. If not, they switch back and forth.
Well, right, and it's like, with the way DVR is and stuff like that now, it's like you can record something and watch it later,
Okay.
It's sort of like, well, two things are on, but what do I want to record, what do I want to watch?
Yeah, because you can record football and watch wrestling, or vice versa.
Right, it's just that, like, and who's to say, like, how many people actually watch wrestling on a weekly basis? I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just one of those people. But yet, how many people throughout a given week, say TNA draws 1 million people, just make it a round even number.
Mm-hmm.
They draw 1 million people. Who's to say they lose 100,000 people next week in the rate, and they only draw 900,000 people for a rating? What's the reason for those 100,000 people not watching? Who's to say, well, this happened, like family member got hurt, or I got hurt, or this happened, that happened, who's to say, like, something big didn't happen in their city, like that they live in, and blackout, or some freak accident that knocks out cable or satellite or whatever, what's the explanation for it?
There's none.
There's going to be an explanation, but it's just like, what's the reasoning, what made you not watch?
The reasoning. There's no reasoning, sorry.
But
I'm tired.
I know it's just one of the things where it's like, you have all these reasons for everything, but it's like, even though, like, say 100,000 people don't watch something, it's like you could have 100,000 different reasons for why they didn't watch.
Right. So on topic. What's on the topic?
Well, now that I realize that
we've been off topic for a while.
Kind of, but not really. It's like there's my run sheet that I had, but it's like...
Oh, you can actually combine some of the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just now realizing that.
After reading it, yeah, you could have combined some of the stuff.
Anyways, like...
Instead of 10 stuff, you could have gone like to 5 to 6, maybe?
Yeah. Anyways, but, anyways, so, like... I mean, we've...
covered the majority of it.
Kind of, but not really. I don't know where I said that, but anyways, I know it's about that time of year where it's almost end of the year, and there are some new releases coming out, like for WWE. The new Randy Savage release is coming out. It has a documentary compared to the last DVD set that was just matches. That's coming out this month. Attitude Era Volume 2 is coming out this month.
Thinking about getting that, but maybe a year or so.
I don't know. See,
when it's more cheap.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking about getting the first one, but you obviously got it, so.
Yeah, I didn't care for that one too much.
Oh, you didn't?
Not really. I mean, I guess on a release like that, it could be hit or miss because it's like there's so much. Like, if you're gonna have, say you're gonna have 5 DVD releases based on like Attitude Era, like how much are you gonna get? How much are you gonna put on one DVD and save for the next?
Right.
I mean, that's just kind of like, well, yeah, we have 5 hours of really good, DVDs of stuff we can put on DVD, but we want to make 4 more of these after the first one. So how much of that 5 hours do we save for a future release?
Yeah, it's basically a hit and miss because like the things in the first one could be semi-crappy, and then the second one's more better, and then again the third one's semi-crappy, and then the fourth one is better, and then the last one's really good.
I know. I'm getting tired of how WWE releases like all these countdowns, like top 50 finishing moves or top 50 25 rivalries. It's like you do so many of those, and it's like, and they're gonna be biased rather than have fans vote in and say, all right, well, this is like the greatest wrestling rivalry, but
it's basically what they think and then what they made as their favorite, and everything.
But then they're coming out with giant, like a best of, or like Giants DVD based on like big men of wrestling, like Big Show, Earthquake, Bam Bam Bigelow, people like that. But like the Attitude Era says only like 5 hours and 50 minutes, but there's like an hour and a half of Blu-ray extras, so it's like 7.5 hours if you get the Blu-ray. But I don't know. I mean, I guess just because like WWE has so much content, like it goes unused. I guess because like that, I've got the Legends of Mid-South DVD compilation. And I got that about this time last year, I think. And that DVD only ran like 6 hours.
Yep.
It wasn't that long at all.
Nope.
I mean, it's like you have so much, but yet you put so little out. It's like, come on, really?
Yeah.
No, but then, well, I don't know. It's just those are like the ones that I know that are coming. Oh, Hell in a Cell came out this month too. So I mean that's kind of like this month's like build with 3 releases.